Hello to the audience. On the new radio station. We're here today to send you and your friends. It's a fascinating story. It's called The Charming Widowed Mistress. I invite you to listen. Even though it's summer break, but my parents also sent me to Saigon to study. My parents said Saigon has many good teachers. Can you prepare for college? My parents just wanted me away from the snow. What little sister and also my lover. I chose to study at her house 01 close acquaintance. Lynn has a large house for students to rent and cook their monthly rice. There are over 10 boys and girls eating here. But they're all back home. It's sad to be alone in the house. I watch the 7 rains come. Look at the puddles on the road. Concave convex resin coated, looking at the sullen trees along the road. It's not all fun. It's like my mood. It is true that sad people are never happy. I'm sitting there looking at the landscape. I heard Mrs. Lynn's voice from behind the kitchen. Fong, come down and eat. This woman is always burning down my house. I just went to the back house. The rice plate is delicious. Which is fried beef, which is sour soup, which is fried egg. I hurriedly sat down at the table with chopsticks. Eat and invite permission. Invite me to dinner. I just finished eating. I don't dare be polite anymore. Eat a nearly whole plate of rice. Mrs. Lynn said, "How old are you?" I forgot. This year, I was 10 to 77. Is there a girl? I smiled and said I hadn't thought about it. I'm not lying, I don't see why. I was surprised to whisper. I don't know anyone in Saigon. There's no pair with AI. I dared to ask what I saw. When did I see you with AI? I was in the bathroom with you yesterday. I'm sorry, it's not. But by the way, I found you so engrossed. I forgot to close the door. I forgot to pay attention to the people around me. It's very bad for your natural health. Find a little girl missing something. I said where to find Cha Ra. Let's see what it is or what it says. If what you say doesn't reach your ears, it's as if you've never heard anything. Please be very honest. When I'm done, I'll talk about you. I see you can reprice it. Or you're too old for that. What are you old for? I think I'm only 4 to 5 this year. I heard there are 70-year-old women still married there. But I see that Aunt RASAO is attractive to men. Why is there no one? Tall white skin, beautiful face. There's a pair of legs like the queen. And here, the measurement here must be 5 to 60. It's 9'6". Don't think you can't see anything. Sometimes I forget to close the bathroom door. The red-faced landlady said the son of a bitch. Stop talking. Stop talking. I'm sorry, Auntie, because I can't stand my aunt. I have to go to the bathroom and do it myself. Understand, stop talking. Mrs. Lynn stood up to go home later. I held her hand and she said. Mrs. Lynn hesitated for a moment and then said okay. I recommend this. Help me. Help me. I know you've been married for 6 years. Thank you very much. If you go back and forth from time to time, twice a week, I won't pay for food. I've always had a woman. When you are sleepy, you will see. She's an old woman, but that doesn't matter. Especially when Mrs. Lynn is a beautiful and willing woman. I also heard the breaks. People talk about the nature of Lynn, but I didn't expect it. This woman is almost 30 years older than me, bringing the story to the right place. Surprise, so excited. I asked when it started. Right now, yes. I finished speaking boldly. Let me just slow down. For that woman, don't be hasty. That's right. Oh, that's right. I can't wait. The old lady from the market is coming back soon. We have to solve this problem quickly. A boy as energetic and in need as I am. Make SAO stand. I haven't been around a woman in over a month. My boss and I went into the room and locked the door. I'm looking for this old woman. See if there's anything different with the other young women. It's obviously different. It means it's attractive in a different way. Make me just passionate. More than half an hour passed. But the old woman hasn't returned yet. Lot more. Beautiful granny free, no need. All the rich ladies. There is a grandmother tomorrow night. Is the wife of a commercial joint stock company director, but I have to pretend. Of water. She picked up her deck of cards and stared at me and said, "It's too hot to take a shower." "No, take a shower, I'll go to the bathroom over there." I went to the bathroom. After taking a shower, I went up to the house and waited there. A moment later, she went away from the bathroom with a very discreet pajama suit and asked, "Your name is Fong, how old are you?" "I'm 17, I'm sure you know how to play scratch cards." "Scratch AI without knowing in here play cards." When she finished, she got up and walked into my room. In a very natural way. "I'm nervous." "Follow her. Get in bed, sit down and hand the cards over." I also climbed into bed and sat across from me asking, "Not only fight SAO, I want to fight for money, snap my ears or scratch my pot. I can't afford to fight you for money. Your ears hurt. Then go to the kitchen and get the pot, or take your lip wax tube." Grinning guest, showing my teeth as white as jewels. "Beautiful, you are so creative." Guest takes wax lips R8 crawling on the bed. At first we played scratch cards, later playing poker and gray. And then after an hour, we got together. Everybody's got wax all over their face. We looked at each other and laughed like two kids. The guest said, "Your name is Knock Bitch." Since the day of my husband, I have never been as happy as today. So we were close. We threw out all kinds of vegetables and fish, the meat that Mrs. Lin put in the fridge. Let's cook and eat together. Finished eating, we brought back the prophecy and then we let it go gray. She said playing cards like this is boring. How do you want to play? That's what I thought was naive. It's not what you eat, it's what you eat. Playing cards out means SAO. It means that the loser has to drop something on him. Who clean people have nothing to lose. I want to say, I understand, I can take it. But you seem to be wearing 4 clothes. And then do what's inside. You only have 3 things on you. Because I don't have a shirt. That's not fair. I've been watching you a little closely. It's like wearing 4. It means that once you lose, you don't have to do anything. Agree, but without cheating. Who wants to cheat? But what's the benefit of the winner? Or just look at the ocean like that. I have no eyes and want anything else. I want to play one more game later. It's called a heads-up game. I want to be specific. The loser has to lie on his back. This is magic. In my head, I thought you lost. What would you do if you lost? If you win, what would you do to me? Why do I think she's here? Is it as real as Mrs. Lin said? I'm sad to say. If you win, you can snap my ear. Let's lower the resolution and get started. She draws cards and then hands them over. It's like being a professional poker player. I also drew 3 cards to see 9 points. I smiled and sat down on the bed and said, "Both hands are up, and both hands are 9 points. So no one has to touch their stuff." The second time I got 7 points, 8 points. So I lost. I'm going to take off my shirt. But bitch said, "It's like I was wearing 4 clothes." Take out 1 less and the remaining one is BA. The third game I lost. This time I had to wring my shirt. Into bed. My sister is looking at my body. I think she's swallowing saliva. The 4th game I won. Bitch seemed hesitant. I said you wanted to cheat. No, but I have to get you mentally prepared. Even if you are a woman. She finished talking for a moment. Then slowly lie on your side. On one side, this woman is wearing really bad pants. What are the ligaments? What kind of things? She can't keep up with that rope. And I said, let me borrow your scissors. Or whatever the color is. I'll get the scissors. You cut the rope on your back and then you quickly drop it off. My heart wants to jump out, oh my god. The legs are so beautiful. They're elongated and white as snowflakes. I nervously thought, maybe she wants me to do it. No, this woman is smart. Sitting on a pretty long shirt that covers it all. The fifth game was lost. I smiled and said, maybe you don't dare this time. After a moment of silence and hesitation, bitch lies on her side. Then those tiny thin pants. But the shirt still covers the gates of heaven. This shirt is really big and it's quite good. The sixth game I lost. I lay down on my side and my trousers are all folded up. Cover it up deliberately. She looked straight at me red. The seventh game she lost. I said you can't hide anything this time. She blushed and said she accepted what was coming. You're done, God. God gave birth to such a beautiful woman. My white water crane. The eighth game you lost. I didn't hesitate to look like that. Not enough or want to play? I said in my next breath. The ninth game I lost. So now, both of you are like newborn babies. Bitch said. This person looks at that person as money. I told you, it's a turn-up game. If you win, cut it with scissors. Your 2 ears are fine. I said, give me the scissors. She laughed and looked very interested and drew 3 cards. This time she wrote for a long time. After watching the post, bitch threw the card on the ground and lay on her back on the bed. Put your hand towards me. You lose and you lose. Will you make it up or come here? I've been waiting for you to lose for so long, come on. I had a point where I thought there were no more ears. I never expected to be so happy. The winner does what he wants to do. When you finish, close your eyes. I don't know why the bed is wet. I think maybe you. It's been a long time. He wanted to jump at me as soon as we met. But I want to extend the time. They want to play me like a cat and a mouse. I swallow my saliva and slowly enjoy the rewards. His victory. I have to say, walking through the clouds, it took me over half an hour to wake up. Bitch said. I've been so young and so old that I've never been like this. I laughed and said. The director must have had a lot of beer. The wine is weak, so it's weak. There is also affection for women. Many other problems are complicated. There are more ways. I once caught him playing cards. It's like we just did. But it's not about playing alone. Your husband took it again. The reason is to hang out with girls who are white. It will be in business. I bought it with money countless times. And it's a long story. Let me tell you one day. I am looking for you to avenge my husband. He's playing cards with Kia. You can play too. He bought a white man. I don't know whether to buy or not. You're the first. I said, if you buy me, I will lose money. I know, but that doesn't matter. I asked if you still love him. It's over now. I hate him later. When I'm with you, I'll never let him close to me again. Come on, let's go help you. And again until the Korean morning. I woke up wearing makeup. And then you put a bunch of money in my hand. It's all 500,000D. I took that money, put it in your wallet and say, I want to cross the street, you'll never see me again. But you're still in school. As a sister, you have to worry about me. I put my money on the bed and said, "If you don't take it, give it to Lynn." She walked out the door and said, "I'll tell you about him tomorrow night." My sister came to me early in the morning. "You said you've only been away one day. It feels like a year. I know you're telling the truth. I am in the same mood as you." We brought 2 chairs to the back garden. The back garden is a large area planted with all kinds of trees. At the end of the garden is a narrow river. Over the river, it's a field at the end of the sky. Scattered in the field, it's the sand, with graves big and small chin each other. Not in a row. It's raining today just like it did a few days ago. But not very big. The drops of rain are enough to make my heart sad. Unexplained sadness at the silent desolation scene. Like in the garden today. Mrs. Lynn and the old lady she hired here today. They're all at home. But they let us be completely comfortable. Sit and talk to each other. Of course Mrs. Lynn didn't say anything to bitch about the secret between me and her. But I still feel shy. Facing both of you at the same time. So when the rain is over, I invited Bitch to the river to sit and play. I asked her to tell me about the director. Your husband. Here's Bitch's story. Your husband is a peach man. There are a lot of people chasing. I just want to say people, not animals. Rational people should be self-restrained. But your husband doesn't control himself. He can talk to you. Any AI means that the intention of the crab is to be with people. That he likes anytime, anywhere. He almost always wants to. After the honeymoon, I lost 2 pounds. Your family and especially you, I keep looking at you smiling. And my dad says it's a good symptom. But then you get more and more pale. My younger brother is a women's doctor. Very famous. It's specific to you. I see the situation. Your health is not normal. Do you want me to examine you? She nods her head. Then he took out the receiver. Check your heart and lungs. You're normal. You're not sick. Just say it. I hesitated a little and said, "He's so happy I can't stand it. Maybe 7 times a day." My brother sighed. How do you see yourself now? I want to know all about your situation. You understand. I see it's missing something. This place is a bit painful. I will examine you. Think of me as a doctor. Think of nothing else. I told you to go to his office. He told me to climb up to the table. At first I was embarrassed, but it also does what it says. He's wearing gloves. After the examination, he asked for a moment. After the examination for you, I think it's because you're so beautiful. You make it worse. Let's say you put something on. Make it better in color. Or you do it. It means to make him fed up with you, to make it less. After the consultation, he advised me again, is to find ways to avoid the near. Your husband did what you said. And he's also less demanding. But then her husband was unusually excited. I'm in the bathroom, I'm even going to the bathroom. And he didn't let go. You're cooking and you don't care. It's just like being apathetic. I'm disgusted by that. One day I came home unnaturally after a long trip. I saw my husband with 5 others. 3 of them are pretty girls playing cards. On a table full of bottles of wine. Cigarettes are a target. She flipped over and went down to the next couch. Sighed, lying for tired. But sometimes I look at them. I find something strange. My husband and 2 other men. There is money when playing cards. But these three women are not. You sit on the couch forever. Your husband said. I went to the company for a bit. You're playing bad cards. You can't leave everything to the staff. I nodded and went to get the car. Halfway through, you turn back. Sneak out the back door. Go upstairs, where people play cards. My house was not rebuilt as it is now. The attic was rickety because the attic floor was made of plank. There's a lot of barrel holes that can see through the bottom. I see that when Nam loses, they share money. But when the women lose, they just put their clothes out to change their money. When you start peeping, one of the three women. I said eyes. I have to admit that she is beautiful. Three men, especially if your husband keeps his eyes on her. Forget about playing cards. About 5 minutes later, she didn't have a piece of cloth left. Her husband cried out in triumph and stood up. Take her to the next room. You are jealous. Ran down the stairs and grabbed the woman's head, but then I let go and sat down in my chair. Your husband is staring at you, and the youngest of them is talking. We eat out, men eat out, women eat money. Granny, you're joining us. You didn't lose anything special. She is still the one who lets her husband eat. No one dares to do anything. When your grandmother loses, just looking at your sister is enough. He said, you're so drunk, shut up. No, I'm not dumb. The water is my friend. But I also let him. I'm the one who means air. I said today that if you lose, you look at me with your eyes. You are number one here. Her husband flipped the table and fell to the ground. Now I've noticed the two girls. God, there's only a wide shirt on the outside. They ran out of the table. A girl who slipped and fell in the middle of the house. The girl whose husband is about to leave. At night I was screaming. I also want to join. My husband shouted, are you crazy? I'm not crazy, I want that. You can do it. I can do it. Your husband dragged you into the room and locked the door. They left the house and the husband just returned to the room. Don't take any chances, I'll call the police. People are saved. Let's see if someone comes to deal with it. Hey, me, I don't want to. Even with such a big mouth, I wanted to join. This guy remembers what I said. Then you take a shower. And called the cyclo. Take her to my brother's clinic. Tell him everything and ask him to examine you. God, he saw it and he shook his head. I've never seen a husband like this. But why? I told you to make it worse that you didn't. It doesn't always take medicine. It prescribes medicine. I told her to hide out at her grandparents' house for a while. She finished talking and put her head on my shoulder. I asked, when did you catch your husband so loud? Oh my God, you're so angry to say that. Actually, I'm scared of them. If I had you, would you dare? Yes, you dare. But now let me go in and tell Mrs. Lin and the old lady what happened. Give them money to go to the theater. But I don't want to hear your story anymore. There's a lot more. What do you mean? You can tell me a short story. But a long story takes time. So we made the rain the wind. Then sleep well into the afternoon. Sister bitch. Continue the story of her husband. After the trip to Dalat, you should have continued to trade magic, in accordance with the program of the organization, but because of the discomfort inside, I came home 2 days early. When opening the door to the house, I feel there seems to be something wrong at home. I hurried into the living room. On the sofa, there's a man and a woman your age are sitting. They seem very poor because of their posture and their clothes. I saw my cousin stand up. Seems very cringy and loses his temper. Say hello to them and go to the back of the kitchen to find the girl. He glanced at you. Your guest is not you. He was silent and did not answer. Just take the key and gently open the door. Very large bedroom is separated by a large curtain. There was a small noise in the room. When you get to the bottom of the film, look at it. Your husband is turning his back on you, and turned his face to a girl. Your husband is as good as he is at work. But the girl only wears one shirt. Your husband is holding a flashlight. Now I look closely at the girl. She's pretty, but she's 10 or 34 years old. That girl can't see you. Because you're facing the wall. My husband just stood up and watched. He asked the girl to sit up and say something to her. The girl hesitated for a moment and did as she was told. Be brave enough to do the same. She shook her head and said something she couldn't hear. I just heard a little girl talking. That's it. Do you know what to do? The old man and the old woman below didn't tell me why. Yes, but the examination is over. Now check again. It takes a full medical examination to find out what the disease is. Will you stand up now or not? The girl hesitated to stand up. Let's go around. Have you ever seen? Please forgive him. Because the boss said he was satisfied, it should be us. I don't blame her. I just blame her grandparents. Why did you bring your daughter to do that? It costs too much. How much I want to give. But remember, don't do this anymore. I took out a stack of money. I don't know how much and give it to you. She's standing next to her parents. She doesn't know. Your face is as pale as a leaf boat. I pulled it out and asked. Have you had anything? At first glance, do you see any traces? He shook his head and asked me how old I was. She called the cyclo. Take them home and go to bed. I was so tired on the road that I fell asleep. I was sleeping when I suddenly felt someone move. When she opened her eyes, she saw her precious husband. You scream this. I just came home from work without washing anything. You refuse. He doesn't understand why he took the car and left the house. I woke up and slept in my head and had a divorce. You and your husband have no children. So I don't feel any attachment. In addition to money, you go to the bathroom and wash it off. And call the cyclo to the company. I have some precious jewelry in the iron cabinet in the company. I need to go there to get this jewelry. Send it to your parents before thinking about the divorce. It's 8 p.m. Just tell the company to open 3 new doors. Put the safe in the corner. It only takes 15 minutes to open. Heavy door RA. Because of the confusion and the wrong number right after when you put all your jewelry in one big bag. Take it and go. I heard footsteps coming into the room. I sat down behind the bookcase and peered away. Your husband and a girl are walking into the room. When you look closely at the girl, RA is a 15-year-old girl in the afternoon. The girl was wearing a jacket. Uniforms of employees in the company. Maybe your husband wants this girl to dress like that, so that outsiders don't notice. Her husband told her to sit down in the SA chair. Then go to the fridge and take out a bottle of wine, a box of juice and 2 glasses. He finished putting things on the table. And sit next to the girl and pour her some juice. Pour wine for yourself. It was just a sip. He took a risk. And so it goes. This is a good time to get out of the room. I walked around the desk. Open the door and sneak out. He told her to wait for her parents. After sending the jewelry, I rented a car to take me home. He came home in about 10 minutes. Your face is pale and your clothes are wrinkled. Just tweak your shirt and speak the truth. Her parents came here asking for more money. They said if you don't give more money, they will report to the police. They said you and me. Their daughter was harmed at the company. Your husband is pale. So after the incident that day, I went to the old man's house until now. When she finished, she turned her wet eyes towards me. Then asked how small it is. Of course I can. But I've got a lot of homework to do tonight. Fear of losing strength. Save another day, not a day too. Actually, it's not because I'm studying tonight. It's because I have to pay for Mrs. Lin tonight, in accordance with the covenant. But tomorrow, I have another one. According to Ms. Lin, it is very attractive, so I need to save my energy. Mrs. Lin came and gave me a plate of calves, and some eggs. You finish eating and sleep. I'll take you to the doctor tomorrow morning, then work the other night. I was surprised to ask, if you have any illness, go to the doctor. At the request of a guest. I feel a little offended, I said. If you like it, just don't like it. There's no examination. Take it easy. This one is fat and young and beautiful as a fairy. You must have a certificate from the hospital. It's not sick. And what's more, you minimize the conversation, rather than not being questioned. If you see anything strange, they'll be here at 11:30 p.m. Don't be surprised if people don't show their faces. It's because people have a reputation. She is beautiful. There is no shortage of people who want to share pillow with people. But they're all criticized. People don't want to be emotional. Just want to solve it. She'll just call her, for the sake of convenience, very strongly about this. According to her words, it's been a long time. There is no man. Make her whole. So the problem is that Kia is not conditioned harmful to beauty. She's seen your picture and she's taken it. But that, she said she didn't know what I was doing. I said you were number 1. She said take me to the doctor, make sure. She will bear all the expenses, don't worry about money alone. She gave it to me first. Mrs. Lin threw a large pile of money on the table and continued. I forgot to have this picture of her. Mrs. Lin took it out of her wallet and gave me a picture. With my hand, I looked at the picture. It's a picture, but only from the neck down. At first glance, I thought it was cut out of the newspaper. The difference is that there is no head. One body is full of shit. Mrs. Lin told you to keep it and look and get the spirit. You're in a good mood. Maybe tomorrow night or something. I'm just afraid you're tired. Okay, then let me call and see. Mrs. Lin can talk after calling. But she said she'll be an hour late. I don't know why I sleep when I go. The next morning I went to the doctor with good results. I don't know how long I slept. I'm dreaming, seen with a Hong Kong movie actor. I feel like there's an AI sitting at my feet. Because the bed is rocking down. I opened my eyes. I saw a woman sitting in bed. Turn your face out. She said softly, I'm sorry. The lightning in the wallet are a woman's stockings. Very thin black. She draped that sock over her head and turned her face around. The light is not very bright on my side. But through the sock I can still see. Very beautiful and familiar face. You see me staring. She put on her arms and turned her face outside. I tried to turn off the light and she said no. Leave it there and close the door. I don't know what she was thinking, just sit there for a moment. Then go out. Looks like she took a shower. Back in a while. Fold up the fragile suit. Sorry, I don't know how old you are. But probably very young. Now I suggest that we call them brothers. If you ask me anything, just nod or shake your head. I see if you can. She nods her head. Later that night I slept until noon. When I woke up, she wasn't there. I know I've had the pleasure of being with that one. There's beauty and fame. Someone who has been admired by many. It's a person that people can chin each other to. Tore your clothes to get an autograph. Let's shake hands. Or chin each other to snatch the excess cloth. That's it, I've seen him in the night room. I have to say, it's amazing. I sat on my knees. Sorry to know it will be hard to see you again. But suddenly a ray of light, a thought flashed through my head. I dressed outside the living room 6. Find all the magazines with pictures. I read and I watched all afternoon. I stopped at a picture of a person's entire body. And I'm in a hurry to get a taxi down somewhere. There's a crowd gathering here. To pick up someone they admire. I also chin into the crowd. About an hour later he arrived. In a shiny car. She is so beautiful and beautiful. It seems like no one can reach it. Everybody raised their hands and waved at her. She smiled and waved back, and she looked at everyone. Those eyes trying to scan a large circle. On the restless eyes. There are my eyes in there. The eyes clearly stopped where my eyes were. It's a little long and a little different. But just a little bit. Those are the eyes of the secret woman. And they never came back to me. Probably I'll never see that secret woman again. I sat in my room for 6 hours. The brain is always in pictures. Beautiful face looming in thin stockings. And then there's my special eyes. In the crowd this afternoon. I feel that I love him dearly. I still remember the other faces, have passed in my life. Aunt Lean, leader of the snow group, Ms. Bitch Lin. If only you were here now. It's comforting. Tell me how much. But she didn't come today. I can't even see a phone call. I sat testing people far away. Mrs. Lin said, "Don't worry, I won't return the card tonight. Is it okay to pay? Just say it. Don't make a fuss. I'm trying not to worry about it. It is not enough to worry about starvation. Talk it around forever. Mrs. Lin seemed annoyed by my attitude. I think this is a bit of a mess. What a mess. In front of others, my aunt. But there's no AI now. I've been with people twice. You're supposed to call me you. Mrs. Lin laughed. What is your sister? It's like rice after a storm like this. Be careful, it pops up, hits the eye, is blind. Always now. Let me tell you something. It's a difficult job. But it's interesting. That's more than last night's income. This woman is also beautiful. I told you I chose to give you all the beauty. I heard 2 hours, and you seemed so mean. Just call out as before and touch your mouth. It's a boneless tongue with a lot of twists and turns. Let's keep talking. She is beautiful. I can say very beautiful. If you get a little sick, that's fine. This woman is only 30 years old, divorced her husband, and very rich. Divorce is only for married reasons. Husband. She can't stand her own fault. That he said he couldn't meet. She's very violent. I have asked my husband to do this many times. It made him sick and he had to give up. It sounds strange and fascinating, but why? I will direct Joe. I trained her once already. She came here to sleep and came in at dawn. Then suddenly threatened her. It's not that simple. Then there's nothing to be interested in. I calculated this. I'll tell her someone has. I'll show her a picture of the wind. I'm going to her house to sleep. The wind comes home around 4 a.m. And she opened the door. To have an element of surprise that's interesting to her. I slept there for a few nights and the wind came. I made it look like the wrong guy couldn't come. But it's not like that, understand? I understand, but I also feel terrible. When to start working? I'll be at her house tomorrow. 3 days after the operation. But that wind must hold up to 4 days or SAO. Can you call bitch to come? You can't contact bitch. I don't know where she is. If there's no flute tomorrow, I'll do it for the next day. My sister didn't come to save me. Mrs. Lin didn't show up the next day either. While I was reading a book, Mrs. Lin walked into the room laughing. Everything is fine. I'm going to her house. 2 nights later I'll call Cho Fong. When you answer the phone, you have to leave. Remember that night to take a shower before going to bed. Remember to follow my instructions last night. It's a 5-minute walk tonight. I nodded too easily. Go into her house and get up. I don't know if she will argue or not. I told you what she meant. What's needed is to do what I tell you. Remember, this is her bedroom key. Here's the string to this mask. After Mrs. Lin left, my curiosity is growing more and more. I've been waiting for that moment to come so fast, and it has come. I'm falling asleep. I heard the phone ring. I picked up the receiver. On the other end of the line was Mrs. Lin's voice. Come on, I'll put the receiver down. And then run to the bathroom. 5 minutes later, I arrived at a 2-story mansion, separated from the outside by a large garden. Surrounded by 4 walls 3 feet high. I opened the iron gate easily and slipped into the garden. Across a large courtyard with round lights. Like the moons. I came to the big golden front door. Suddenly, I'm scared of what I'm doing. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. What am I doing here if it's not stealing? I'm going to turn around. I heard a voice behind the door. Open the door. That's Mrs. Lin's voice. I opened the door and slammed in. Mrs. Lin stood behind the door and pointed upstairs with her hand. I took my rubber mask and walked upstairs. Passing through a small hallway, display full of beautiful flowers and decorations. I came to the door of the room. There is a small flower station above. According to Mrs. Lin's words, I took the key to the door. A white cat from Lao Ra's room. Makes me want to stand Tim. I went into the room and locked the door and looked around. This is a rather large bedroom. The bed is also wide. There was a woman who was sleeping. Just as Mrs. Lin said, the woman is very beautiful but a bit of momentum. She's wearing a very thin pajamas, very clear about everything. I see clearly. I sat down on the bed and she was still sleeping. Oh, who is this to save or run? I love you. Take out the mask. Watch out if you get hurt. You're so handsome. According to Ms. Lin's advice. While we're talking, I just used the rope that Mrs. Lin gave. In that day, I've done it 4 times and it's worked well for both of you. I know, this game can't go on too many times. The landlady knows that too, so after you pay me, you give me a lot of money. And she sent me away with her breath. Since then we've never seen each other again. I'm sitting doing my homework. I heard the doorbell ring. And then there was the opening of the gate. And the sound of his feet hurrying in. I look outside with my eyes. My sister is hurrying up the stairs. I'm so glad to rush out with you. Then I saw you in tears. I haven't seen you in almost a week. Where are you going these days? I'm going through divorce and other stuff. I'll tell you later. It's all done now. What am I going to do now? I want to meet you right away. You're not the right kind, are you? Not lost to that father. I just want to talk about your husband. Who else? I know your family's in trouble. He demanded compensation and a settlement. Even if he is your husband. I don't want to lose face these days. It's like going back and forth between his house and yours. She said, looking at me. Why do you look so blue? You're still normal. I don't believe I can try now. Tell Lynn and the old lady to go to the theater. Hey, I'm not kidding. You look so blue, get some rest. My sister Lynn, the wind is so blue now. Mrs. Lin did not answer. Ms. Bitch asked again. Lin sao that it is so blue. It's not blue. I think it's normal. It's clear that blue is still thin. Is anyone doing anything to you? This Lin. It's only been a few days and it's like that. Mrs. Lin seemed annoyed. Who does it? Who knows what you say I do? I haven't been here nearly all week. I said a few days ago and now I say a week. I'm half joking and half saying that Chen is not strange. I remember more than 50 to 15, so it's yellow. Now do one thing. Both Bitch and Lin laughed. That's the whole village. Mrs. Lin was going to say something. Suddenly there was a bell calling for the gate. Get up and go out. Later the same person came in. Both are weak. In the hands of small items such as clothes. Lipstick bottle holder. The person you came in with was a 15-year-old girl. The highline is quite beautiful. Especially the skin and eyes. She whispered hello. Hi, Grandma. Hi. She stared at everyone. And stand pressed against one side of the wall. Do you know who this is? I've already told you who. She pretended to get a cup of tea. But speak softly to the ear. I was a kid with your husband. I think it's too bad that you hired him as a human. She turned her face to Mrs. Lin and said loudly. As agreed. Waiting for my divorce, I moved here. I like the house behind the garden. There is a separate entrance to the student rental area. Mrs. Lin said yes. Please fix up the house for me as promised. Small thing. That's the name of the 15-year-old. And I'm in the house behind the garden. They see me as a boss. Say you and me. Makes me both uncomfortable and funny. I'll tell him to say brothers. It's right for me to call you you. I'm joking again. Whatever you say, you are my son. Don't talk nonsense, my wife. He's got round eyes looking at me. Laugh and say nothing. Of course, that night I did not forgive her. My sister is very worried about my health. But you can't refuse this. Just keep it quiet, don't watch out for her, she hears it. I don't know where it's going. An hour passed having fun. I heard a noise in the next room. So he hurried the towel and ran out. I'm afraid of a thief stealing my new dream. Yesterday, my neighbor just lost his brand new Viva Super. I opened the door into the room, then I saw a shadow from above. My dream car jumped to the ground. That's the water. So he climbed into the car and snuck us in here. There is a double wall between the two rooms. This wall is too old and there are many holes. They've closed the holes below. But the holes at the top are still there. If you climb on something that's standing close to the wall, it's like a Honda. You can look across the room. Next to the water bowed his face down to the kitchen. There's a voice asking, "What is it?" I said nothing. The car crashed against the wall. I went back to the room and continued. I blindfolded again, then imagine the secret woman. I don't know why I miss her so much. When the face is covered in black socks haunts me too. Bitch is the one who is interested. Have fun with the new things I bring. One day she was gone, only me and the water at home. I was studying when he came into the room. What's wrong with you? Let's borrow it. Adult children's books can't be viewed. What adult books say you can't see? I whispered softly into his ear. Your parents didn't teach you how. Who taught that? I saw his eyes glistening. I looked at it from head to toe. Just over a month ago, he looked so tall. Maybe thanks to a man. I looked again. He was wearing tight white pants and had just taken a shower. The water is not completely dry. I spit half jokingly, half literally. It could be a lot. You have to see a doctor to see it. I can do the examination without a doctor. Check it out, do you dare? Come in and close the door. It's quick to close the door. Then close the two windows. Come close to me. What keeps shaking like a malarial? It was the first time I fooled an official. Much younger than my age. The next day I just walked out the door. Water broke into my room. Why are you in such a hurry? It's not working. My sister is back on schedule today. I have to pay Mrs. Lin according to the contract. So I didn't dare move. I have to say that I'm afraid of bitch coming back to be my shield. It's not about housing and food. I have to keep my covenant. It's not just about integrity. Now I have enough money to spend on this. I have lived no less than a king. With a queen and 2 mistresses. In addition to education, I only have to worry about paying for 3 wives. Fortunately, the honeymoon is over. She's also less demanding. I have to pay. Once a week or twice a week is enough. It's been like that for half a year. Bitch and Mrs. Lin didn't know anything about me and the water. The water doesn't think. I've been with Mrs. Lin 4 times. Poor sister bitch. She thought I was the sole owner of her. But then one day she said to me, it was strange that I happened to see Mrs. Lin bathing yesterday. There's not a single thread. It wasn't like that before. I said it must be too hot, clean, cool. But so is the water. Before that, it is now smooth. You probably know why. At SAO, they saw that yours was so beautiful that they imitated it. Fresh face up, you're so smart. I feel smart to find strange sensations. That's why I advise those people, no more nature. I was very happy with 3 women. For such a situation, something that doesn't understand SAO is with any AI. I also remember the woman in the mask. Maybe it's because I admire her so much. One day, I'm picking up some movie newspapers at a newsstand. I happen to read a very large line in a newspaper. Every day to be by your side. Movie actress Cam was killed in a plane crash on a Hong Kong-Hanoi flight. Under the headline is a picture of her. Obviously, this is the face that was with me that night. With black socks. This is clearly a face that scanned a large circle. In my eyes and my admirers. I can't even read my eyes anymore. So it's all clear that the eyes never come back to me again. And I'm not going back to anyone. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, this is the story. Please close. Thank you for listening. Hello, goodbye, and see you in the next stories.